Hello everyone and welcome to another Pyro Gaming video. I've done solo guides for Pit of Heresy, Shattered Throne, Harbinger, and Presage this season, so it goes without saying that it is time for Prophecy. This is the last little one that we need to get through. This one gives you a cool little bunny ghost shell for a solo run though, and a cool emblem for solo flawless. I'll be straightforward with you guys. This is probably the toughest dungeon to solo, not because the enemies are hard, but because of the arenas that you fight in. You're going to need some decent weapons here, especially on the final boss, because Kelly Cho, as I call her, has a ton of health points. More on that later. But before we talk about this dungeon in Destiny 2, let's quickly talk about a raid. A raid filled with champions, boss fights, powerful artifacts to make you stronger, and even some dungeons of its own. Use my link below in the description and on the pinned comment to download Raid Shadow Legends today and get lost in an immersive MMO mobile game that's on par with many AAA console and PC games. What I love most about Raid Shadow Legends is that I can take it literally anywhere. It's always right there in my pocket, which means I can log in anytime to take advantage of the 2-year anniversary events and tournaments going on now through mid-April and snag myself some free gifts and rewards. I'll definitely be grinding to try and get some of the new Shadowkin faction champions too. There's links in the description box below and on the pinned comment, or you can just scan the QR code showing in the video. New players get a free epic champion named Jotun, 100,000 silver, 50 gems, and 3 ancient shards to get you started. That means 3 epic or higher champions right there waiting for you. Plus Jotun, who's pretty beastly in the Doom Tower, by the way. And speaking of the Doom Tower, 2 new tough bosses were just added to the rotation. You'll find even more free rewards at your inbox in-game for even more free loot, and if you hurry, I'll even let you join my clan. It's called Pyro's Playhouse. My raid name is Pyro Gaming The, all one word. So what are you waiting for? Hit those links and start raiding today. Let's get back to the video. Let's start with loadouts. I'm running a Hunter, which is arguably the most difficult class to do this on, even when you crutch Invis. I'm running Top Tree Tether with a 6th Coyote exotic with powerful friends for high mobility, crutching that Invis, believe me. Titans, Bubble with Helm of St. 14, or even Ursa Furiosa with Middle Tree Sentinel to get super energy back. Warlocks, you already know, Phoenix Protocol, Well of Radiance with high recovery to get your rifts back. Warlock, I do think, is the easiest for this solo. For armor mods, I ran Global Reach and Cellular Suppression with my Ikelos SMG, and Taking Charge with Protective Light for extra shields when I'm about to die. I also put on a Concussive Dampener mod as well as Scavenger and Ammo Finder mods to fit my weapon loadouts, which were Wither Horde, Ikelos SMG, and Falling Guillotine for most of the starting stuff. I changed loadouts on later encounters to better fit that playstyle, and we'll be talking about those when we get to those encounters. Also, be sure and throw on a Taken Spec weapon mod if you have it. Also, this activity is 1100 power, so your power level literally does not matter. You can go in there 1120, I would say, is where you need to be, or higher. So, pretty much anything. This first encounter is pretty basic. Kill knights while you are in light or dark areas to make them drop that type of mote. A great tip here is for the second room, pick up the dark motes in the first room and carry them over because there aren't many dark areas in room 2. You'll need to dunk 1 light and 1 dark in each of the 2 rooms to progress, or just skip the encounter entirely by jumping up one of the tubes. I'm sure you can find a guide on YouTube. The first boss will be a challenge for most people. It's a small area and the boss has a push attack that tries to throw you off the area, so always try to be behind cover. You'll also have Scions spawning constantly that will multiply if not dealt with soon after they spawn. Your Warmind cells will do absolute wonders here with those Scions. Lastly, you'll have Taken Knights spawning that drop light or dark motes depending on if you're in the sun or in the shadows, just like in the first encounter. This is going to be a recurring mechanic for the rest of the dungeon, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter which order you dunk these in, but you will need to do 2 light and 2 dark each rotation. Once you've dunked all 4, the damage phase will begin. This boss is best damaged with swords, and I personally think Falling Guillotine is better than Lament here, just because you can keep going and doing attacks with increased damage if you have the right perks on your sword. Passive Guard from the artifact is a good option here as well for extra shields. Be sure to burn those supers, well, bubble, tether, get as much extra damage as you can. Apply all debuffs and buffs that you have at your disposal. This boss can be easily two-phased with Falling Guillotine. Just be sure to deal with the goblins when they spawn because they will make the boss immune to damage. The main thing with sorting this boss is to really pay attention to your health bar and back off to recover when it gets low. Even if it means you have to 3-phase instead of 2-phasing, 3 phases are still better than dying and starting over completely. Nothing changes on the 2nd or 3rd phases, just rinse and repeat until this boss is dead and you get a chest. Moving on to the Wastelands encounter, let's start by getting the secret chest. Take a left and head to the Mars ruins, and the chest is down a little hole in the structure. Once you have the chest, hop back on your Sparrow and drive around to find 3 big taken blight bubbles like the ones you see in the Lake of Shadows Strike. There are 3 snipers at each blight area, so I swapped to a pulse rifle to deal with them from a safe distance. The gameplay flow here is pretty straightforward. Destroy the 3 blights. You don't need to kill everything, but I always do just to be safe. Once all 3 blights are destroyed, go to the Tolan orb in the center of the area, and the direction the orb flies whenever you get near it and it takes off is the direction of the next blight group. You'll need to destroy blights at 3 different locations to progress. Once all 3 have been destroyed, a door will open to the next encounter. The cube room, as people call it, can be a bit hectic, I'm not gonna lie. I swapped to a machine gun here instead of a sword to help with snipers, as well as put on a sniper resist mod. Wither Horde and Warmind cells are god tier in this room. The basic explanation of this encounter is that the Tolan orb will choose a random wall or the ceiling to float on. This choice dictates which color motes you'll need to dunk to complete a side of the cube, with there being 6 sides in total. Completing a side will put a symbol on it, and that means that that side is done. To begin, you'll have 2 snipers and some acolytes spawn. Deal with the acolytes first, otherwise they'll spawn their acolyte eyes and they get very annoying. They spawn a ton of them. I Wither Horde the spawn areas, which typically kills them all. Whenever you're seeing them spawn, just shoot a Wither Horde round right there in the goo. Be sure and swap to the Ikelos SMG right after you shoot Wither Horde though, as this will allow your Wither Horde kills to produce Warmind cells. Next, focus the snipers. Killing them spawns knights, and killing knights spawns snipers. This is a 1-to-1 switch, meaning a sniper dies, a knight spawns. A knight dies, a sniper spawns. You'll also have more acolytes spawning, so be sure to Wither Horde their spawn areas again, just like the first waves. And once you've collected your 5 motes, dunk them under the Toland orb, I guess, to complete a cube section. If Tolan is up top, then look at the sides of the cube that don't have a symbol yet and choose that color. Dunking the wrong color counts as nothing, so you will just have to keep going. So pay attention and dunk the right motes, otherwise you can do this infinitely. It can go on forever. But if you do it right, you will only need to do it 6 times, and after all 6 sides have been filled, in your final room, you will have 2 big Tekken bosses, but they don't have very much health and are pretty easy to kill. Finish them off and jump into the opening above the chest to move on to your next challenge. Rainbow Road is a pretty awesome encounter. It's a nice break before the final boss. Just hop on your Sparrow and follow the path that I'm on here on the ribbons to first collect the hidden chest and then to the final boss's room. I always try to stick to the middle ribbon, but honestly I think you can pretty much take any of them as long as you're paying attention to what's in front of you. Now it's time for Kelly Cho, the last thing standing between you and that adorable little bunny shell, or even that emblem if you're still flawless at this point. Good job if you are. I changed my loadout up for this fight. I run a shotgun in the moat room, or the night room, whatever you want to call it, to kill the knights and the ogres, and then I swap to a sniper before dropping down for boss DPS. You could obviously use a sniper in the moat room as well. I am just not very good at aiming snipers. I do stick with the Ikelos SMG for the Warmind cells, but I do swap to Anarchy for the boss damage, and honestly, it really is the best option just because of how that boss fight is designed. I made a guide recently on how literally anyone can get Anarchy now, so you should definitely do that if you haven't already. In addition to swapping from a shotgun to a sniper for the boss damage portion, I also changed my mods from a concussive dampener to a sniper resist mod and from shotgun scavenger to sniper scavenger before dropping down for boss damage. I swap everything back to the starting loadout before leaving the boss damage arena as well. That way I have all my shotgun ammo ready to go when I get back to deal with the knights. This fight is mostly about having enough ammo. I'm not even kidding. That is the biggest challenge, is finding ammo and having enough to actually do some meaningful damage to the boss. Save your heavy ammo for boss damage and use specials and primaries for everything else, trust me. You'll start in a big triangular-shaped room with 3 copies of Kelly Cho shooting at you. Each copy will have a light or dark column showing, and you'll be dunking the motes the same way that you have been for the rest of this dungeon prior to this. Once you dunk one of the copies, the boss will disappear and an ogre will spawn. They're not really much of a threat, honestly. They're just the push attack ogres. I mean, they're kind of annoying, but they're easy enough to avoid. But kill them quickly anyways, just to have less things in there that could potentially ruin your run. In my opinion, the Scions are the worst part of this fight because they just keep replicating. The Warmind cells with global reach and cellular suppression ended up being a massive play in this room for me. It makes it so much easier. This room gets easier as the encounter progresses too because each dunk gets rid of a boss. So you have less things shooting at you as you progress. Once all 3 bosses are gone, I will swap to a sniper and sniper mods like mentioned before, and if needed, I'll hang out in this room to farm waves of adds for ammo before dropping down. This is always a good play. There's no time limit here, so there's no reason not to wait until you have full abilities and ammo before progressing. Give yourself the best tools for success. Once you drop down into the boss's damage arena, it's best to use your super immediately because he stays on this first platform the longest, as well as the back platform. Bubble, well, tether, burn them all here. You want as many buffs or debuffs as you're able to get, so use everything that's at your disposal. You'll need to stay close to this boss to avoid dying to dark entropy, and the boss throws portals at you that return you to the start, so it pushes you back so that you get dark entropy even worse because you have to run and sprint and chase. What I'll do here is burn my super, tag Kelly Cho with 2 anarchy rounds, then burn as much sniper ammo as I can before the boss moves. When the boss starts to move, I keep reapplying anarchy and just try to run close enough to the boss to stay alive until I reach the end of the room, then burn the rest of my sniper ammo. I don't really pay much attention to the snipers at this point in the fight. The main thing here is to make sure that those anarchy rounds are always on so that you're doing damage as you try to stay near the boss and deal with the snipers. After the boss leaves, I swap back to my triangle room loadout of shotgun and shotgun mods, then backtrack to kill the rest of the snipers for ammo. Again, there's no time limit here, so take your time. Make sure that you get everything that you need. I mean, when I say this, the ammo is the worst part of this solo. So, like I said, there's no time here, so get all the ammo and ability regen you need before heading back for round 2. Once you get back in the triangle room, the layout of the room will rotate and change like in the cube room, so watch out for holes in the floor and make sure that you're activating your double jump as you're falling back into the arena. The rest of the encounter is exactly the same as the first wave, so rinse and repeat until Kelly Cho is no more. For me, it took 3 damage phases, which isn't too bad, honestly. The boss has 7 million HP, so it's gonna take a bit, but as long as you're taking your time and playing methodically, you'll be able to pull this off. I really think that the biggest thing here is ammo, and the second biggest thing here is memorizing the fight and the flow of it, and once you get that rhythm down, it's honestly not that bad. I think you can do it. If you can do the final boss for Shattered Throne, Dolankaru, I think you can pull this one off. And that is going to do it for this one, guys. Drop a comment in the box below and tell me your favorite loadout for Kelly Cho, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. But if you enjoyed this video, click like. If you're new to the channel, click subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, I fucking love you. Don't forget, I have other guides for the other dungeons if you want to go check them out on my channel. Thank you guys for watching, and take care.